are halfway through the Australian Open, 3 rounds have been played, and I am here to rank the top 7 matches in Melbourne so far. Stay tuned. G'day mate, welcome back to the tennis vlog. Hit subscribe and you can stay tuned for more content on the Australian Open. Okay, that was so bad, I'm so sorry. Hey guys, welcome back to the tennis vlog. As I said, the tournament is halfway done already at the Australian Open in Melbourne. 3 rounds have been played. 4 rounds are left to go in both the men's and women's singles, so now seems an appropriate time to look back over the tournament so far at the end of the first week, and I have picked 7 standout matches that have taken place over the past 6 days. Before I get going, if you think that there has been a standout match that I have completely missed in this list, be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think I've missed out on and why it was such a great match. So coming in at number 7, we have number 17 seed Ashleigh Barty's defeat of world number 66 Aryna Sabalenka 6-7, 6-4, 6-4 in the first round. She did go on to bow out in round 3, but before that Barty produced 2 comebacks on the biggest stage of her home Grand Slam, the Rod Laver Arena, and that doesn't come easy under home pressure. In her opener, Barty was up against 19-year-old Sabalenka, who is pretty much the fastest rising star on tour right now. The Belarusian can play with as much variety as Barty, and she took the first set after trailing by a break with a mixture of craft and aggression, approaching the net a lot, really mixing things up. The stats in this one were seriously close. Barty wasn't the most explosive player, but she was the most consistent player in the big moments. It is all about those big moments when it comes to deciding which player walks away with the victory, and that was a big one for Barty. Coming in at number 6 on this list is number 3 seed Grigor Dimitrov's clash with qualifier Mackenzie McDonald of the USA. This one went a distance and Dimitrov came out on top by a 4-6, 6-2, 6-4, love 6, 8-6 scoreline. In his current form, and remember he won the ATP finals at the end of last season, few people could have predicted Dimitrov being pushed to the limits by a 22-year-old qualifier and a virtual unknown. McDonald is a former college player, and prior to his match with Dimitrov there was no real indication of the danger he could be against an opponent of that caliber. McDonald played out of his skin, Dimitrov was up and down, and at the end of the match both players had more unforced errors than winners, which indicates that they were feeling the pressure, that they were going for a lot as a result. McDonald actually finished the match having won a couple more points than Dimitrov, which is perhaps due to his bagel set in the 4th set. But as Dimitrov still searches for a maiden Grand Slam title, one thing he has to be able to do is fight through a match, even if he's not feeling at his best or playing his best tennis, and that is what he did against McDonald in the 2nd round. Match number 5 is world number 98 Andrea Petkovic's upset of number 27 seed Petra Kvitova. The German got the win 6-3, 4-6, 10-8 in a match lasting 2 hours and 52 minutes. Despite her status as a 2-time Grand Slam champion, Kvitova has really struggled in Melbourne in recent years, but this loss is still really hurting her, and it probably has something to do with the fact that she served for the victory twice in the deciding set. And this was after coming back from a 4-love deficit in that 3rd set, so rubbing salt into the wounds, really. Petkovic is a former world number 9, but she has been struggling with injury and poor form for some time now, as her current ranking reflects. But she brought her best and most determined tennis when she was on the brink of defeat in her 1st round clash with Kvitova, and she showed a lot of mental resolve to recover from missing match points midway through the 3rd set to eventually close it out. The quality of the match was very hot and cold, but when both players were on, there was a high level of tennis and it was a close contest throughout. Now, there are no seeded players in our 4th best match of the tournament, which just goes to show that quality can exist outside the realms of the elite. World number 76 Andreas Seppi survived a marathon encounter with world number 89 Ivo Karlovic. The match featured no less than 3 tiebreaks, ending 6-3, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7 in Seppi's favour. Magic seems to happen for Seppi in Melbourne. He beat Roger Federer here in 2015 and Nick Kyrgios as recently as last season. Croatia's Karlovic, meanwhile, is presently ranked lower than the Italian, however he plays much closer to his career high ranking of number 14 than the ranking he possesses currently. The standout statistic of this 3rd round match is that Seppi hit 82 winners to just 24 unforced errors. That is pretty insane. And almost as impressive is the fact that Karlovic hit 52 aces, which is almost double the number of Seppi's 23, but the Italian still came through. Not only that, but he didn't get his serve broken throughout the entire 5-set match and only faced 2 break points. Major respect to his mental toughness there, because to lose 2 tie breaks in a row when you're playing so well, and then steel yourself and come back and win the match, that is pretty tough to do. Now we come to our third best match of the first week of the Australian Open, and it is number 15 seed Jo-Wilfried Tsonga's defeat of world number 50 Denis Shapovalov, or Shapovalov, or any of the other pronunciations that exist out there that you wish me to use. This one is something of a seesaw of a 5-set battle, but it was always a tough contest, and Tsonga came out on top 3-6, 6-3, 1-6, 7-6, 7-5. This match was incredibly hyped, and for good reason. Tsonga is one of the biggest talents in the game, in my opinion, probably the most talented player not to win a Grand Slam title. He also reached the final here in 2008, and Shapovalov beat him in the second round of the US Open last year in straight sets. That was the 18-year-old's breakout season. This wasn't just a close battle, a high level of tennis was definitely present. Shapovalov is clearly going to be a star of the future. He's got a killer backhand, an all-round great game, bags of energy, and Tsonga has a booming serve that he often produces to full effect when he is down on the scoreboard, and he has massive ground strokes to match, so this was a brilliant matchup. While he has his physical game on the right track, Shapovalov now probably needs to pay more attention to his head game, because he did falter mentally at the end of the collision. After losing a super close fourth set, he was 5-2 up in the deciding set and served for the match twice. However, Tsonga's experience showed as he reeled off 5 straight games to win. And while there are a lot of people saying that the Canadian let that victory slip through his fingers, that's a massive win for Tsonga, who suffered his fair share of Grand Slam heartbreak last season. And now for our final 2 matches, with the second place contest taking place on the second day of third round action. In at number 2, top seed Simona Halep defeated world number 76 Lauren Davis 4-6, 6-4, 15, 13 in 3 hours and 44 minutes in the third round. This match also made a bit of history because in terms of number of games played, it equaled the longest match ever played at the Australian Open. At first glance at this on paper, you would have been forgiven for thinking that Davis wasn't going to give Halep much trouble. The American is talented, but she has struggled to bag top 10 wins throughout her career, and you have to think that her height factors. She is only 5'2". But out of any top player, that made Halep a good matchup for her because she wasn't going to blast her off the court, and that was ending up in a lot of long rallies, and rallies that Davis was coming out on top of. To make up for not being so tall, Davis moves at lightning pace to get around the court, and given that Halep wasn't hitting extremely fast, she was able to get to the ball in decent time to really time her shot to perfection, and she nailed some incredible winners down the line in all 3 sets. Halep fought hard, but she had to serve for the win 4 times, and even had to fend off 3 straight match points on her serve at one point late in the decider. This did mean that she was able to show off her ever-improving mental resolve to emerge as the winner, and she might be pleased to know that the last 2 Australian Open champions, not named Serena Williams, both saved a match point on the way to their title. And finally, the match I believe to be the best of the tournament so far, number 17 seed Nick Kyrgios upset of number 15 seed Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. The contest lasted 3 hours and 17 minutes, with Kyrgios coming out on top 7-6, 4-6, 7-6, 7-6. Now, it didn't go to 5 sets, but from the first point to the last, this was the closest contest of week 1, and it very nearly went the distance. Tsonga was 5-2 up with a double mini break in the 4th set tiebreak before doing a mini Shapovalov and losing 5 straight points to lose the match. Not only was this a ridiculously close match, but the tennis was absolutely top draw. I can't really envision how difficult it must be to play against a dialed-in Nick Kyrgios, and there is no question at all that he wanted this match and he was going after it. As well as producing raw power to great effect, he was tactically brilliant and going for shots where he had little to no margin for error. Tsonga, meanwhile, served like a boss throughout this encounter, and it was only really the latter stages of a couple of the tiebreaks that really cost him. Both guys were playing smart tennis, constructing the points well, but also looking for winners and keeping the points highly intense. You only have to look at the stats to see how close it was. Tsonga actually hit 16 more winners than Kyrgios and won 2 more points overall, but when it came to those key pressure moments, that was when the Aussie upped the ante and had people on their feet. An absolutely knockout display from both players, and personally, I think it's going to take something special to stop this one being the match of the entire tournament. So there are my top 7 matches of the first week of the Australian Open. Let me know what you think of them, and if there is a match you think I neglected that deserves to be in that list. Next week I will be uploading some more Australian Open videos, previewing matches and making predictions. Oh, the joy. If you don't want to miss out, as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Any excuse to use an Aussie flag, hey? Could I pass for an Australian in this? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.